So we're going to start today's practice. We're going to come to a standing position today at the top of the mat. So have your feet so that they are hips width distance apart. Let the arms fall out to the side, roll the shoulders back. Try and have equal weight between each one of the feet. Maybe lift the toes. Let the toes come back down to the mat. And have your spine nice and long. Imagine that you've got like a piece of string going all the way through the spine, up through the crown of the head, lengthening through your spine. Just close down your eyes. Focus on your breath. And just ease yourself into today's yoga practice. And just be here, taking your practice today, coming away from anything else that might be happening, and just taking a little bit of time just to switch off. From here, we're going to take an inhale for 4. And an exhale for 4. Again, inhaling for 4. And exhaling for 4. Take a couple more rounds of breath. And then we're going to start our practice. Just a few rounds of sun salutations this morning, or whatever time of the day you're hopping onto your mat. And when you're ready, just blink open the eyes. You're going to take one big inhale, raise the arms up ahead, gaze towards your thumbs, and as we exhale, coming into our first forward fold. Take an inhale, flat back, bring the gaze up. And as we exhale, stepping back, lower down through chaturanga, tuck the elbows into the side ribs. Inhale as you come into upward dog or cobra. And exhale, coming into downward facing dog. And we're just going to stay here for 3 rounds of breath. So maybe pedal out the legs. Bring your gaze towards your navel. Feels good to maybe have a little bit of a bend through the knees or through the elbows. And from here, just try and sort of externally rotate the shoulders away from the ears. The feet, so that they're hips width distance apart. And then on your next inhale, lifting the heels. As we exhale, putting a bend through the knee. And from here on the inhale, walk, step or jump to the top of the mat. Take a half lift, inhale as the gaze comes up, and as we exhale, coming into forward fold. Take an inhale to rise all the way back up to standing, and exhale as you bring the hands to prayer at heart center. Couple more rounds, inhale, arms up, look towards your thumbs. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, gaze comes up. Exhale, stepping ourselves back, lower down through chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog. And exhaling into downward facing dog. And again, 3 nice long breaths here. Depending on what time of the day you're coming onto your mat today, you might find that your body's a little bit tighter to begin with, but hopefully as we progress during today's practice, everything will start to feel a little bit softer. On the next inhale, lifting the heels. Exhale to bend the knees. Inhale to walk, step or jump to the top of the mat. Coming into a half lift, bring the gaze forwards. Exhaling into forward fold. And as we inhale, rising all the way back up to standing, hands to prayer at heart center. One more round. Inhale, arms up, look towards the thumbs. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a flat back, half lift. Exhale, stepping back, lower down through chaturanga. Upward facing dog or cobra. And as you exhale to downward facing dog. And here we're just going to raise, on the inhale, raise your right leg up and just let it fall over towards the left hand side, just giving a little bit of space, opening up through the hip area. And then on the exhale, release the right foot down. On the inhale, lift the left foot up and over. On the exhale, release. Inhale to lift the heels. Exhale, bending through the knees, walk, step or jump to the top of the mat, half lift, gaze comes up. Exhale, forward fold. And on the inhale, rising all the way back up to standing, hands to prayer at heart center. Moving on, a few rounds of sun B. So as you inhale, put a bend through the knees, let the tailbone drop down. As you exhale, coming back into that forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, stepping ourselves back, lower down through chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. And exhaling to downward facing dog. On the inhale, turn the left toes out, bring the right foot forward, rise up, warrior one, gaze comes up towards your thumbs. Exhale, palms to the mat. Stepping back, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. And exhaling to downward facing dog. Inhale, turn the right toes out, bring the left foot forward, rise up, warrior one. And as we exhale, both palms to the mat, stepping back, lower down, chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog. And exhaling to downward facing dog for 3 nice long breaths. You should start to feel that you're building a little bit of heat through the body now. With your sun salutations, it just gets the blood flowing. It's the energy flowing through the body. And gives ourselves a nice full body stretch to start our yoga practice. Take an inhale, lifting the heels. Exhale to bend the knees, walk, step or jump to the top of the mat, half lift, gaze comes up. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale, rising all the way back up through chair pose. And as we exhale, folding straight back down to the second round. Inhale to a half lift, flat back. Exhale, stepping back, lower down through chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog or cobra. And exhaling to downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up and through, rise up, warrior one. Gaze comes up towards the palms. Exhale, palms to the mat, stepping back, lower down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Exhaling to downward facing dog. Turn the right toes out. Bring the left foot forward, rise up, warrior one. Exhale, stepping back, lower down through chaturanga. Upward facing dog. And to downward facing dog. So take 3 lovely long breaths. Just slow everything down. Pedal out the legs. Take it nice and easy. You've got one more sun B. So on your inhale, lifting the heels, exhale to bend through the knees, walk, step or jump to the top of the mat. Half lift, bring the gaze up. Exhaling to forward fold. As we inhale, rise back up through chair pose. As we exhale, coming back to standing with hands to prayer at heart center. So one more round of sun B. So inhale, coming into chair pose, gaze comes up towards the palms, exhaling to a forward fold. Inhale, half lift, gaze comes up. Exhale to step ourselves back, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog and exhaling to downward facing dog. On the next inhale, turn the left toes out, bring the right foot forward, rise up, warrior one. Exhale, step back, lower down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog and downward facing dog. Inhale, bring the left leg through, rise up, warrior one, gaze comes up. Exhale, stepping back, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. And again, 3 nice long breaths. Just slow everything back down, focus on your breath. Should feel nice and warm. And on the next inhale, lifting up your heels. Exhale as you bend through the knees. Walk, step or jump to the top of the mat. Coming into a half lift on the inhale, flat back. Exhaling to forward fold. And as you inhale, coming back up into the chair pose. We're going to stay in chair pose. So have your feet so they're hips width distance apart. Bring the weight into the heels. Gaze comes up towards the palms. Maybe lift the toes and release the toes back down onto the mat. On the next exhale, interlace the fingers behind the back. We're going to drop the chest so that it rests down towards the tops of the thighs. Really feeling that stretch as you broaden through the chest. Stay here for 3 rounds of breath. And on the exhale, just release the palms to the mat. Heel toe the feet out towards the outer edge of the mat with the feet pointing towards at a sort of a 45-degree outwards. And let the bum drop down. We're going to come into our yogi squat. So bring the hands to prayer at heart center. Have your elbows so that they're pressing on the inside of the thighs. And again, lengthening through your spine, through the crown of the head. A couple of breaths here. And then when you're ready, bring your palms to the mat. We're going to step ourselves back, lower down through chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog, cobra. Exhaling to downward facing dog. Take one nice big inhale through the nose here. And exhale through the mouth. And on your next inhale, coming back into warrior one. So turn your left toes out, bring your right foot forward. Rise up into warrior one. Maybe have the outer edge of your back foot so that it's pressing into the mat. Feeling nice and strong through both feet. Gaze up towards the palms. Take a couple of breaths here. Then on your next exhale, open up to warrior two. So bring your heels so that they're in one line. Gaze comes towards the front palm, strong through both of the legs. Just start to feel a bit of warmth coming through. Definitely I can feel it through my front thigh this morning as I'm working the muscles. One more inhale, one more exhale. And on your next inhale, turn the right palm up. We're going to come into reverse warrior. So keeping the same position with the legs. Raise the right palm up and over. Let the left palm slide down the left leg. Gaze comes up towards the right palm. You'll feel this really nice stretch all the way through the side body. Take a couple of breaths here. On the inhale, coming back to warrior two. Make that stance a little bit shorter. Straighten out the front leg as we exhale into triangle pose. Option here to grab hold of a block if you want to put that just underneath the right palm. Bring the gaze up towards the left palm. Option as well, if you want to take a bind, maybe grab hold of a t-shirt or the top of the trousers, top of the thigh, just to open up and broaden through the chest. Focus on your breath. Take an inhale to release. Bring both palms to the mat. Now this time we're going to come into revolved triangle. So Bring your stance so that your feet are on two rail track lines again. Keep your left palm onto the mat. And as you take an inhale, we're going to open up to the right hand side. So being mindful, your hips are going to want to kind of come out to the side here. We want to keep them so that they are in a stable position facing towards the front edge of the mat. So take an inhale, raise the right arm up, gaze comes towards the right palm. We'll take a couple of breaths here. On the exhale, release. So bring your right palm down on the outside of the right foot, coming into Shavasana. So bring your weight so that it's in your right foot and your right palm. You might want to kind of have your right palm so that it's slightly out towards a bit of an angle in the top corner of your mat. Find a point for your gaze. Reach round, if it feels okay, grab hold of your left foot and press the top of your left foot into your palm. Feel a really nice stretch across the front of the thigh and the back of the thigh too. If it feels okay, maybe bring your gaze out to the side depending on how your balance is this morning. We'll take one more round of breath. And as we exhale, just release. Bring the left foot back down onto the mat, extended side angle. So right palm on the inside of the right foot. Inhale the left arm up. Gaze comes up towards the left arm. Again, option if a binder's in your practice, maybe bring your left arm down and take the bind. Take a few rounds of breath. And then on the exhale, bring both palms to the mat. We're going to rise up into a crescent lunge. So spin your back heel up. Inhale the arms up. And as we exhale, bring the hands to prayer at heart center, twisting round to the right hand side, hooking our left elbow over the right knee. Gaze comes up towards the right elbow. We take 3 rounds of breath here. Try and find a fixed point for the gaze. Keep both the legs nice and strong and active. You can always option to drop the back knee down here to help make the posture a little bit more stable. And on the exhale, bring both palms to the mat, stepping ourselves back, lowering down through Chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog or cobra, and exhaling to downward facing dog. And from here, we're going to do some prep for pincha. If pincha's in your practice, then feel free to come up to pincha. Take about anywhere between 5 and 10 breaths before coming back down, maybe taking child's pose. If pincha's not in your practice, we're going to do dolphin pose. So bring your elbows down onto the mat. Have your elbows so that they are in line with your shoulders. Maybe here, option to grab a block to put between the palms because your thumbs are going to kind of naturally want to gravitate towards each other, which is fine, but you don't want your elbows to splay out too much here because you need to kind of keep a nice, stable, strong base. And then from here, just walk your feet so that they're slightly closer. If here feels good, then just stay here. If you want to go a little bit further, maybe take an inhale, lift the right leg up. We're going to stay here for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Switch the legs. Inhale the left leg up for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. We're all going to come down into child's pose, just to take a couple of breaths here, just to regroup before we move on to the opposite side. Again, focus on your breath, slow everything down, and just refocus. On the next inhale, we're going to come back up into downward facing dog. So tuck the toes under. Come back into downward facing dog. Take one big inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Moving on to the left hand side. So turn your right toes out. Inhale the left leg up and through. Rise up, warrior one. Gaze comes up. Strong through both legs. Again, try and get the back along the outer edge of your foot so that it's pressing into the mat. A couple of breaths here. On the exhale, open up into warrior two. Gaze comes over that front middle finger, strong through the legs. Have your knees stacked over the ankle. Focus on your breath. The inhale, reverse warrior. So bring the left palm up and over. Let the right palm fall down the right leg. Gaze comes up towards the right palm. Feel that really nice stretch through the side body. Keeping that bend through the front right leg. Left leg, sorry. Couple of breaths. On the inhale, come back up into warrior two. Reduce your stance. We're going to come back into triangle pose. As you exhale, bending forwards, then the arms tick-tock. So the right arm comes up. Gaze comes up towards the right arm. Option for a block. And also option to take that bind. If you took it on the right hand side, maybe take it again on this side. Roll the shoulder back, broaden through the chest. Take an inhale to release and coming into our revolved triangle. So making the stance a little bit wider again so that your feet are on two railroad track lines. Keep the right palm down onto the mat as you inhale, twisting the body round so that you can raise your left palm up. Gaze comes towards the left palm. A few rounds of breath. As you exhale, release, coming into Shavasana on the left hand side. So again, bringing the weight so that it's in your left foot. Have your left palm so that it's more or less at the corner of your yoga mat. Have a nice stable base with the left foot. Find a place for the gaze. And if it feels good, reach round and grab hold of that right foot, pressing the top of the right foot into the palm of the hand. Really feeling the stretch all the way through the hamstrings. And also through the front of the thigh. Couple more breaths here. And as we exhale, release, coming into our extended side angle. So have your feet so they're back on that one line on your mat. Have your left palm on the inside of the left foot. Inhale to raise the right arm up. Option for a bind again if you took it on your right side. Maybe take it again here on the left. So grab hold of the top of the thigh or a t-shirt. Just bring the palm around the back. A couple of breaths here. And on the inhale, spin the back foot up, rise up into our crescent lunge. Gaze comes up. Exhale to bring the hands to prayer at heart center, twisting round to the left hand side. Hook the right elbow over the left knee. Stable through both feet. Option to drop the back knee down. Focus on your breath. And on the exhale, bring both palms to the mat, stepping back, lower down through our chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. and exhaling to downward facing dog. And again, take one big inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Let it all go. And like before, we got option for pincher for a round of 5 to 10 breaths. You can take child's pose. Or if you're coming with me, we're just going to move back into our dolphin pose. So drop the elbows down onto the mat. Shoulder width distance apart. Maybe have the thumbs touching. Walk the feet so they're slightly closer to the torso. And on the inhale, raising the right leg up for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Exhale to release. Inhale the left leg up for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release the left foot down. Coming into child's pose just to regroup. Focusing on your breath. Maybe give yourself a little wiggle from side to side. Let the arms fall out to the side, palms up. And we just slow everything down. Pick up the breath here. And when you're ready, bring your arms out in front. We're going to come back into downward facing dog again. So tuck the toes under, push ourselves up and back into downward facing dog. And then we're going to walk our palms back towards our feet, or move your feet so they're a little bit closer towards the palms of your hands. Lift your heels, let the weight fall slightly over the tops of the palms of the hands. Bend through the knees. Oh, and let ourselves come back like that so we can flow back without touching the mat to reach our feet. We'll do that one more time. So you're in your downward facing dog. Bring your weight slightly forwards. And as you inhale, push ourselves back so that we can hold on to our toes with our thumb and forefinger, coming into a forward fold. Take an inhale, flat back, gaze comes forwards, and exhale as we forward fold. Take a couple of breaths here. On the next inhale, coming back into that flat back, we're going to bring the palms of the hands so they're underneath the soles of the feet. So you can feel toes so that maybe they give the wrists a little bit of a massage here. And again, coming back into that forward fold, just for a few breaths. Take an inhale, release the palms of the hands, gently roll yourself up vertebrae by vertebrae. Continue to bring the arms so that they raise up above the head. And we're going to come up onto the toes. We're going to do our San Francisco twinkle toes. So find a fixed point for your gaze. And then we're going to walk ourselves from here back up to the top of the mat. So take it nice and easy. Let's do one foot at a time. Again, focusing your gaze on that fixed point will help you with your balance. When you reach the top of the mat, we'll take one big inhale. And as we exhale, to release. So moving on, coming into our wide leg forward fold. So have your feet so that they are out to either side. You're facing the long edge of your mat now. So have your hands so that they are on your waist. Roll your shoulders back and down. We'll take a big inhale and an exhale. On the next inhale, raise the arms up above the head, and as we exhale, forward folding. So bring your palms down to the mat. Maybe bring your stance a little bit wider. Bring your toes so that they're pointing slightly in. Option here to come up into a headstand. if that is in your practice. If not, we're just going to hang out here just for a moment. So bring the crown of the head a little bit lower towards the mat. If you come up into a headstand, we're not going to hang out for too long, maybe just for a count of maybe like 5 breaths. You feel the stretch through the backs of the legs, through the lower spine. If you chose to take headstand, bring yourself back down. You're going to inhale, bring the hands to the waist, coming all the way back up. And as you exhale, interlace the hands behind the back and coming back into that forward fold. So really broadening through the chest, getting that nice stretch as we open space across the front of the chest. Again, feeling the stretch along the backs of the legs. Take one more inhale and exhale. Take an inhale to come all the way back up. And as you exhale, bring the palms so that they come down each side of the leg, grabbing hold of the big toe with the thumb and forefinger. Let the elbows come out to the sides. And just stay here again for a couple of rounds of breath. On the exhale, bring the hands to the waist. On the inhale, come all the way back up. Now, if splits are in your practice, then feel free to come into splits at the moment, but we're going to take just a runner's lunge. So turn yourself so that you are facing towards the right hand side of your mat. Drop your left knee down. Bring the palms either side of your right leg. You're going to flex the foot. Bring the hips so that they're pulling back slightly, and you'll really feel a stretch along the back of your right leg. Take a little bit of a forward fold here, leading with your chest. Take a few breaths here. Take an inhale to come all the way back up. We're going to walk ourselves over to our left hand side. So again, taking that runner's lunge or coming into splits variation if that's in your practice. But today we're just going to hang out here just for a few breaths, feeling the stretch on the back of the leg, flexing the foot, leading with the chest. And then on the inhale, release, coming back, walking ourselves to the front of our mat. We're going to come down into a seated wide leg forward fold. So you could just come down as you are into a seated position, or if you're coming with me, we're just going to move our elbows so that they are underneath our thighs. So walk the palms back. Gently put the weight onto the backs of the elbows. If it feels okay, we're going to lift the feet and just slide ourselves down into a seated position. If you didn't get it that time, don't worry. There's always option and time again just to practice. So inhale, raise your arms up above the head. As you exhale, coming into a forward fold. Now we're not going to come all the way down, so come to wherever feels comfortable. You're really going to feel the stretch here on the inside of the legs and the backs of the legs. Option to grab hold of the toes as well. Take a couple of breaths. And on the inhale, coming all the way back up, releasing the palms. Bring your left leg, so it's on the inside of the right thigh. Take an inhale, and as we exhale, we're just going to take a fold over onto the right hand side. So you'll really feel that nice stretch on the side of the body. Maybe grab hold of the shin, Grab hold of the foot, come to wherever feels comfortable. Again, leading with your chest. Inhale to release. We're going to swap the legs over. So bring the right foot on the inside of the left thigh. Turn your body to the left and coming into that forward fold. Maybe flex the foot. And inhaling to release. Bring both legs out to the side. Take an inhale again as you raise the arms up, and as we exhale, coming back into that forward fold, but grabbing hold of the toes with the thumb and forefinger. Tuck the elbows in and down. Lead with the chest. We'll take a couple of rounds of breath here. And on the inhale, come back up, release. Give the legs a little bit of a shake out. Now we're going to do our Mula Bandha checkup. So maybe bring your legs so that they are in a little bit more. We're going to take an inhale. Bring your palms so that they're either side of your right thigh. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, we're just going to lean slightly forwards in towards that right leg. And then on the inhale, we're going to press through the palms of the hands. Lift up the bum. If it feels okay, we're going to lift the right leg and then the left for 3, for 2, for 1. Release it down. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. We're going to repeat on the left-hand side. So again, bring both the palms so that they are either side of the left thigh. Take an inhale. Exhale to give ourselves a little bit of a forward fold over the left leg. And then on the inhale, lifting up the bum, lifting up the left leg, then the right leg for 3, for 2, 1. Releasing, spin ourselves round, rise up into Navasana, our boat pose. Bring the gaze up towards toes. Cross the legs in towards the chest. Roll over the toes. We're going to move through Vinyasa. So lower down Chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhaling to downward facing dog. Take a nice long inhale here. And an exhale. And then on your next inhale, we're going to walk ourselves up towards our hands. Come into a half lift, gaze comes up, exhale, forward fold, and inhale to rise all the way back up. Exhale, hands to prayer at heart center. So we're going to move on to a few standing postures here. So have your feet again so they're hips width distance apart. On the inhale, we want to kind of have your weight so that it's in your left foot. Find a fixed point for your gaze here. And as you inhale, bring the right foot up. Grab hold of the toe with the thumb and forefinger. Stretch the leg out in front of you. Option here to just kind of hold so that your knee is out in front of you. If this is enough, stay here. If you want to come a little bit further, grab hold of the toe. Stretch the leg out in front of you. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, just try and raise that leg slightly higher, coming into a little bit of a mini forward fold here. Exhale to release. Take a couple of breaths here. And on the exhale, bring that foot out to the right hand side. Again, focusing on that fixed point for your gaze. You might be a little bit wobbly this morning. Don't worry, if you fall, come straight back into it. Foot in towards the center. We're going to let go of the big toe. Bring your palms so they're on your hips. We stay here for 5, for 4, for 3, 2, and 1. Oh my gosh, I really felt that burning through the thighs there. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. We're going to repeat that on the left hand side. So on the inhale, bring the left foot up, holding onto the big toe with the thumb and forefinger. Again, option just to bring your knee in towards the chest here. And again, find that fixed point for your gaze. You're coming a little bit further. Stretch the leg out in front. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, just coming into that mini forward fold. Take an inhale to release. Bring your foot out to the side. You might want to bring your gaze so that it's over your front right shoulder. Today I'm going to stay looking straight ahead. I've got a little bit of the wobbles. And bring your foot back to centre. Release the foot for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let the foot come down. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. We're going to salute the sun. So take an inhale, arms up, look towards the thumbs. Exhaling to forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, stepping back, lower down through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhaling to downward facing dog. And from here, we're going to move on to coming onto our bellies. So lower the knees down, lower the chest down, so that all the front side of our body is onto the mat. Give yourselves a little bit of a wiggle so you're nice and comfortable. So you're going to have your tops of your feet so that they're flat on the mat. Bring your arms so that they're stretched out in front of you. And on your next inhale, we're going to raise the arms, lift the arms and lift the feet. So take an inhale. Keep the gaze maybe down towards the mat, slightly forwards. Use the glutes to lift the legs. Lift the arms nice and strong. For 3, for 2, and 1. We're going to release. Bring the arms so that they are either side of you. And this time, we're going to hold on to the tops of the feet here, just the front of the ankle. Give yourselves a little bit of a wiggle. You don't want to have you want to kind of aim to have your knees so that they're not splaying out too much to the side here. So we're going to come into a bow pose. Again, be mindful of how you're feeling. Take an inhale, and as you do, lift the chest, lift the thighs, push the tops of the feet into the palms of the hands, broadening through the chest. Gaze comes forwards. We're here for 3, for 2, and 1. Release. Bring the palms so that they are crossing on top of each other. Just rest the cheek on the top of the palm. Take a couple of breaths here just to regroup. And then when you're ready, we're going to come back into our downward facing dog. So moving through tabletop position, tuck the toes under, push back to downward facing dog. Feet hips width distance apart. Take an inhale here and an exhale. And coming back through to seated. So have our legs out in front of us. We're going to take a forward fold. So kind of have equal weight each side of the hips here. Take an inhale as you bring the arms up above the head, and as you exhale, just coming into forward fold. So maybe grabbing hold of the shins, the side of the legs, side of the feet, whichever feels comfortable. Lengthening through the spine, leading with the chest. We'll take a few rounds of breath here. And then on the inhale, release. Take a different hold on your feet. So maybe if you had hold of either side of the feet, maybe try interlacing behind the feet, or just grabbing hold of the toe with the thumb and forefinger, just to change the grip ever so slightly. Take an inhale as you lengthen, exhale, coming back into that forward fold. Again, just staying here for a couple of breaths. Take an inhale to release, cross the legs over, bring them in towards the chest, rolling over the feet, moving through Vinyasa, lower down Chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Now we're going to take crow pose, and we're going to take a side crow. So from here, I want you to step so that you are coming over towards the right palm, and we're just going to come down into a kneeling position. So if side crow isn't in your practice, as always, take child's pose, take it easy, hang out in downward facing dog. We're only going to move through this quite quickly, so if it's in your practice, then come with me. So if I turn slightly so that I'm facing you, it will be better. So bring your palms so that they are on the left hand side of your leg, and you want, whoops, I've got the wobbles. You want a couple of points of contact here. So with the right elbow pushing in towards the left knee, and with your left elbow pushing in towards the left thigh. So a couple of points of contact. Have your palms so that they are a nice stable base with the fingers open wide onto your mat. From here, coming up onto the tippy toes, we're just going to bring the weight slowly so that it comes onto the elbows. And as you begin to move the weight forwards, your feet will naturally gravitate so that they lift off the mat. So come as far as feels good. Find a nice fixed point for your gaze. We take a couple of breaths. And as we exhale, bring the feet down, we're going to release. We're going to do that on the opposite side. So again, I'm still going to do it so that I'm still facing you guys. So again, a couple of points of contact here. Palms, stable base on the mat. Fingers splayed out. Come up onto your tippy toes. Get those 2 points of contact. Bring the weight slightly forwards and over, and again your feet will naturally gravitate up. And we'll stay here for 3, for 2, and 1, releasing. So wherever you are on your mat, coming back into that downward facing dog, and we're going to move through to our seated postures. So bring yourself into seated position on your mat. Bring your right foot so that it comes onto the inside of your left thigh. If lotus is in your practice, you can always option to take half lotus here. And we're going to take a forward fold. So inhale, and as you exhale, folding over and down. Maybe holding onto the foot or to the big toe. Being mindful of how you're feeling. One side might be a lot tighter than the other, so just take it easy. Take an inhale to come up. Bring your foot so that it is on the, so the sole of the feet is now onto the mat. You're going to have a distance roughly of about 2 fists between the inside of the foot and the thigh. Bring your left palm so that it's on the outside of your left thigh. Take an inhale as you raise the right arm up, and you're just going to hook the arm around the right leg. If it feels good, maybe grab hold of your wrist or a t-shirt. And again, we're going to take that forward fold. It's one of my favourite stretches. A couple of breaths here. Take an inhale as you come up to release, coming into a nice yummy little twist. So inhale the left arm up, hook it over the right knee, and just twist yourself round to the right hand side. Trying not to dump too much weight into this right palm. Staying nice and strong, lengthening through the spine. Gaze comes over the right shoulder, flex the left foot. Couple of breaths here. And on the inhale, release, rise back up into Shavasana. Stay here for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the knees so that they're in towards the chest, and then let the legs come out in front. We're going to repeat all of that on the left hand side. So bring your left foot either into a lotus position or just tucked on the inside of the right thigh. Take an inhale, and on the exhale, coming back into that forward fold. Maybe interlace the fingers around the foot. Grab hold of the toe, the thumb and forefinger. And just breathe. You can inhale to come back up. And again, taking that forward fold again. So have your sole of your foot so that it's on the inside of the right thigh. The distance of roughly either the palm of the hand or 2 fists together. Take an inhale as you raise the left arm up. As you exhale, wrap it round the left knee. Grab hold of the wrist with the opposite hand. Leading with the chest, take a nice yummy forward fold. Maybe flex the foot. Focus on your breath. And on the inhale, release, taking that twist again, but on the opposite side. So inhale, the right arm up, hook it around and over the front of the left leg. Gaze comes over the left shoulder. And again, trying not to put too much weight through that left palm, but stay nice and strong, lengthening through your spine. Flex the right foot. Couple of breaths. And on the exhale, release. We're going to rise back up into Navasana. And while we're here, we're just going to do a little bit of core work. So we're going to stay in Navasana for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to come into a low Navasana. So drop ourselves down a little bit for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, 1. Coming back into a high Navasana. Again for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Just release the legs down to the mat. Come onto your elbows so that your legs are out in front of you. We're going to continue with a little bit of core again, not too much, but just inhale so that your legs raise up. And as you exhale, we're going to slowly lower the legs down to 45 degrees. We're going to hold. Lower them down ever so slightly again. Just so they're hovering above the mat, we're going to stay here. Take an inhale to raise all the way back up. We'll do that again. So exhale, come to 45 degrees and hold. Again, exhale, lower down towards the mat, but don't touch the mat. Take an inhale to rise all the way back up. And now we're going to scissor the legs. So just scissor them as we lower the legs down towards the mat. Again, not touching, come all the way back up. We'll do that one more time. Lower down towards the mat, pause. Come all the way up and pause. And then we're going to lower the right leg all the way down. Stop before you reach the mat, raise it back up. Left leg, stop before you reach the mat, raise it back up. Both legs stop before you reach the mat. Raise it back up, rise up into Navasana. That was a tricky transition. Take an inhale, bring the legs towards the chest. Roll over the feet, coming back into Vinyasa. So lower down Chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhaling to downward facing dog. And coming into doing a few rounds of back bends here. So we're going to do a few rounds of camel. So come through so that you're kneeling position at the top edge of your mat. You want to roughly have your knees so that they are in line with your hips. Now, take it nice and easy with your back bends. I don't tend to do a lot of back bending in my normal practice because I tend to kind of hold quite a bit of tension in my lower back. So sometimes it's not always something that I want to kind of include, but I think it's good that we do have a couple of camel poses in our practice today as part of our rocket sequence. So we're going to do a few different variations. First round, bring your palms of the hands so that they are either side of the spine, top of the hips. Fingertips facing upwards. Tops of the feet so that they are flat to the mat. As you inhale, roll the shoulders back and just take that nice little back bend where you tuck the tailbone under. Pushing through the glutes, front of the thighs, bring the elbows in. And as we exhale, just coming into child's pose, taking just a couple of moments just to regroup before we move on. Again, as always, if full camel pose is in your practice, then feel free to continue with that. We're just going to do another couple of rounds with a different variation. So take an inhale to come back up onto the knees. Again, bring the palms of the hands either side of the spine, top of the hips. Take an inhale as you roll the shoulders back. Gently bring yourself back. Let the head fall backwards. And we're just going to come with our fingertips on the top of the heels. So using the glutes to really sort of push so that we're stretching through the front of the thighs, trying not to dump too much into the lower back here, broadening through the chest. We'll take a couple of breaths. And as we exhale, again, coming back into our child's pose. So you might find, I know for me, I often do find that I feel quite tense across the lower back. So just be mindful of how you feel. Maybe stay here in child's pose for this last round. Just take it nice and easy. You can inhale to come back up. We'll do one last round. So come back up into kneeling position. We're going to do the same again. So we're going to reach back for the feet. So as we inhale, roll the shoulders back and down. Gently bring ourselves back. Tops of the heels. Broadening through the chest. Pushing forward with the hips. Take a couple of breaths. And when you're ready, release. And again, one last time, we come back into that nice yummy child's pose just to regroup ourselves and just soak in those nice inhales and exhales. And then coming back into a downward facing dog. So moving through tabletop position, tuck the toes under and push back into downward facing dog. Maybe give the legs a little bit of a pedal here. Bend the knees. And then coming through into a seated position again. So crossing the legs, coming back onto sitting on our mat. Shuffle ourselves forward because from here we're going to come into our shoulder stand practice and we're going to move through plow pose as well and candle pose. So make sure that you have enough space through to the edge of your mat. I might come through a little bit towards the top edge of the mat again. And come so that you are on your back. Just going to adjust my ponytail here because it always digs in the back of my neck when I come into a shoulder stand. So bring your knees so that they are more in towards your chest. Have your palms so that they are facing down on your mat. And from here, we're going to use the palms to give ourselves a little bit of a leverage to push ourselves up into our shoulder stand. Now, what you're aiming for here, I don't know if I'm completely straight. You want to have your palms of the hands to either side of your spine, your ankles in line with your knees, stacked over your hips, stacked over your shoulders. Don't worry if you are not there yet. As I say, I can't see myself, so I might be completely at an angle here. Normally aim to stay here for about 10 breaths, so we've probably done maybe about 5 now. So just stay here for another 5 rounds of breath. And then we're going to bring the knees in towards the forehead and come back into a plow pose. So let the legs, fall back behind the head. Maybe give yourself a little bit of a wiggle from side to side so that you've got a nice distribution of weight onto the tops of the arms. Bring the palms so that they're either side of the spine, top of the hips. And again, be mindful of how you feel. Take it nice and easy. Focus on your breathing. Release the knees slightly so that they come either side of the ears, coming into ear pressure pose. You might want to interlace the hands and release the palms down onto the mat. Take an inhale as you release. And we're just going to roll ourselves down into fish pose. So bring your palms so that they are facing down onto the mat. Gently roll yourself down vertebrae by vertebrae. And bring your bum so that it is on the top of your palms. Continue so that your chest comes up. Bring the elbows so that they are tucking in. Broaden through the chest. Flex your feet. And as you exhale, we're going to drop the head back. Really, really nice stretch to broaden through the chest to create lots of space. Couple of breaths here. And on the inhale, bring the gaze back up towards the toes. Release the elbows. I've definitely come off my mat. We're going to take one last vinyasa. So cross your legs over, bring them hugging in towards the chest. Roll over the toes. Lower down through a chaturanga. Inhale into upward facing dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. And we're going to take a headstand from here. So drop the knees down onto the mat. If headstand is in your practice, continue with me. If it's not in your practice, stay in your child's pose. We're going to hang out in headstand for about 10 rounds of breath. So wherever you are, whichever feels comfortable for you, whatever is in your practice, take that. Be mindful of how you feel and don't push yourselves too far. So if you're coming with me, we're going to come up into a headstand. So bring your elbows so that they are in line with your shoulders. Bring your head down onto the mat. I'm going to interlace my fingers so that you've got this really nice sort of stable triangle shape here with the arms and with your hands. Now, I don't always interlace the fingers. Sometimes I have it so that my thumbs are touching because that feels a little bit more of a stable base for me. So however you normally come up into your headstand, then obviously do whichever feels best for you. So from here, we're going to drop the crown of the head down onto the mat. Tuck the toes under so that you're sort of in that sort of downward dog position with your legs. Find a nice stable base so that your elbows are pressing into the mat here. You don't want to be putting too much weight through the crown of the head. You want to kind of have the shoulders and the elbows taking most of the weight. So walk yourself gently towards your torso. I'm just going to raise the right leg first and then the left. First of all, coming into a little bit of a tuck. You just hang out here if this feels okay. Focus on your breathing. If you want to come a little bit further, raise the legs up. So you come into a full headstand pose. And again, focus on your breath. Find a fixed point for your gaze. We're here for 10 breaths. And then when you're ready, just bring the knees in towards the torso. Maybe release one leg first. Release the other leg, coming into child's pose, hanging out here just to gather ourselves and regroup. Let the palms fall either side of the body. Maybe let the knees come out slightly to the side, toes touching. Take a few nice long rounds of breath here. And when you're ready, coming back up into a seated position. We're going to come into a cross-leg position now. So I'm going to turn just to face you. If lotus is in your practice, then take lotus position. Or as always, come into a nice comfortable cross-legged position, maybe sitting on a rolled up blanket or a block just to raise the hips slightly. And bring your thumb and forefinger so that they are together, palms up, backs of the hands resting on the tops of the knees. Close down the eyes. Just take a few breaths here. And just try and sync your breath with mine. So take an inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Just blink open the eyes. I'm just going to take one last balancing posture before we come into our final Shavasana. So bring your palms so that they are onto the mat either side of the thighs. And we are going to take an inhale, and as we inhale, push through the palms of the hands. Gently raise yourself off the mat. We're going to stay here for a count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, keep going, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Well done, folks. Let the legs come out in front of you. If you've got a blanket or a jumper, pop that on or pop that over you. And we are going to come down into our final Shavasana for today's practice. So come into a nice, comfortable position. laying down on your mat, maybe give yourself a little rock from side to side. Let the arms fall out to the side, let the feet fall out to the sides. And just focus on your breath, slow everything down. You've worked really hard during today's practice, and now it's time to just soak in all the benefits of your yoga class today. Relax the toes, relax the feet, relax the muscles in the legs, in the knees, soften through the hips, the abdominals, relax your shoulders, the back of the neck, all the way through the arms to the fingertips. Relax the head, relax the jaw. And just breathe. So maybe now start to bring a little bit of movement into the toes, into the fingertips. Maybe deepen your breathing ever so slightly. Take an inhale, bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice little hug. We rock and roll from side to side. Roll onto your right hand side. Come back up into seated position. We're just going to keep the eyes closed down as we give ourselves one last bow. Bring the hands to prayer at heart center. As we say thank you to ourselves for today's practice. Namaste. So I hope that you've enjoyed today's yoga practice. You should feel nice and energized. I should feel quite relaxed now. But you should feel as if you've got a nice amount of energy and some good vibes to continue with the rest of your day. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I look forward to you joining me next time on the mat for your yoga practice. Thank you.